Hey guys, it's your boy Crazy Stargazer here, and I'm just coming back at you guys with another speed paint. So I was kind of bored the other day, and due to events happening on the planet at the time, I decided to give a show on Netflix a shot. There was this new anime called BEASTARS, and basically my pitch would be, if I had to convince you guys to give it a shot, my pitch would be imagine Zootopia but with a hard R rating and, and some high school melodrama. So if that sounds like something you'd be into, yeah, I'd give it a shot. If it's not something you're into, I totally get it. It's weird, it's out there. But if you can get over sort of the 3D models and the fact it stars like, talking animals, it's a really good series. I'd give it a shot. So, yeah. Oh, hopefully this video should be much shorter than my other ones. If you guys like my audio or if you just want to see like my speed paints in the future, please let me know. So if you guys would like any art tips that I could possibly provide, me being an amateur, I could try and advise you guys. Basically, let me know what you want to see on my channel, and I'll try and accommodate you as best I can. Right now, I'm just kind of spitballing, just kind of putting on what's out there, seeing what sticks. But yeah, I will say these speed paints have really gotten me a sense to focus. So, and also an excuse to practice. So, maybe I gotta trick myself into practicing. Anyways, so yeah, right here we have our character. Right here on the screen, you should see the main character. Well, I guess he'd be the main character. The main character, Legoshi. Legoshi is a introverted wolf character. And Legoshi is kind of our point of view character. Yeah, I'm going to say he is our main character. Most of the story focuses on what he does. So I'm going to say he's our main character. And sort of the catch of BEASTARS is that it is a society that is trying to sort of cope with it's I don't know, it's sort of like a meme now. Everything is about society. Like the Joker tackled society, Zootopia talks about society. Everything's about society nowadays, yada yada. It's sort of like a joke, but I think BEASTAR's approach is sort of a more intimate level on like what society does to a person on a base to base level. So for BEASTARS, sort of the crux is that you have predators and prey. You have animals that are predator-like, and you have animals that are prey-like. And they both act in certain ways and behave in certain ways. So our main character, Legoshi, is a wolf, which is, of course, a predator. So he feels that society expects him to act in a certain way. And he sort of I think he sort of resents the fact that society has this self-imposed sort of mindset about what a predator is and what a predator should and shouldn't be. And it causes him a lot of emotional turmoil to sort of understand what it is to be a predator. He is also a teenage character, so there's a lot of angst in the show, and a lot of melodrama. But I think it's pretty sincere too. Legoshi is a pretty quiet and introverted guy, so when he does have his moments of genuine emotion, that it's from a real place. Legoshi sort of represents sort of this idea of sort of what happens when you let somebody fall through the cracks in society, or sort of the expectations that society can have on people. Legoshi is a predator, but he's expected to act in a way that is sort of contrary to his nature. Now, that's sort of the broad strokes idea. I would also say that this story is also mainly a romance. I'm not usually a romance guy, but usually unless there's some sort of twist, but I think the twist here is pretty good. Here on the screen, you should have the character named Haru, who is a rabbit character. And because I said this was a romance, you could probably guess where this is going. Legoshi and Haru basically end up, well, somewhat spoilers, but I think that's sort of the crux of the entire idea. I think you guys can figure out what happens. But Legoshi and Haru are two different species who sort of have to come to grips with one another. And it does it more or less follows Legoshi's sort of path to sort of pursuing a romance with Haru. That isn't to say that Haru doesn't have a say. This story doesn't just purely side with Legoshi. In fact, it does take a lot of pains to express, like, Haru's point of view. Even she, as a prey character, has her own issues to deal with. So it's not just the predators, and it's not just the prey who have it good. It's not that the predators have it good and the prey have it bad, or it's not that the prey have it good and the predators have it bad. The series sort of hints that both predators and prey are dealt sort of these issues that they have to deal with. For Haru, being a prey creature, she is always constantly looked down on and constantly belittled, even if it's subconsciously. So she's a character who feels like she doesn't have agency, who feels like she isn't very powerful, which leads her to try and find power in more unconventional ways. Whereas Legoshi feels like society views him as maybe too powerful, or they view him as possibly dangerous. So he subconsciously sort of hunches, he tries to appear as inoffensive as possible. So both of these characters are sort of, in a way, sort of victims of the society they're in, not specifically by specific people, although there are people that push them to act in a certain way, but it's more or less sort of the way the world works that sort of pushes them to act the way they want to be. Haru the rabbit would like to be taken more seriously, and Legoshi would like to be viewed as not dangerous. But because of the realities of who they are as actual people or actual creatures, they can't seem to, they aren't able to be the identity they want to be. It's like a identity crisis. They feel one way on the inside, but society views them as another way. So, yeah. And, back to the romance angle. So, basically, we sort of have a forbidden love sort of situation here. Of course, where Legoshi and Haru sort of have a thing going on. Right now, I wouldn't say it's hard romance. I would say it's more platonic at the moment. And if I'm being honest, I think that's more or less where I liked it to stay. Like I said, not really a romance guy, but yeah. So, let me see. But yeah, Legoshi and Haru both basically have issues that they have to deal with throughout the series. And it goes about talking about how many individuals in these series, not just our main cast Legoshi and Haru, but several other characters, have to deal with the world and sort of their approaches to it. Now, another main crux of the story is predator instincts. Now, in the world of BEASTARS, a predator is not really supposed to eat meat because that would be considered taboo. Keep in mind, in the world of BEASTARS, every animal, I think, is sentient to an extent. So, of course, eating meat, which could possibly have come from a sentient creature, would be taboo. So predators are really supposed to rein in their predatory instincts and not devour meat. And it sort of taps into these ideals of repression and denial. And you get these really heart-wrenching scenes with the predators who have to deny their base urges. And the story sort of tackles, well, what's their base urge? Is society being unfair with this restriction? Or are predators truly destined to be these bloodthirsty monsters? And it taps into these ideas. Legoshi himself feels very guilty for sort of having these urges and constantly wants to he constantly self-scrutinizes himself, and you can tell that he feels a large amount of guilt for sort of the creature that he is. Whereas a lot of prey creatures somewhat, I wouldn't say outwardly, distrust their predator brethren, but they definitely feel anxious around them. They wouldn't say it to a predator's face. They're sort of the niceties of society. Like, you don't walk up to somebody and just insult them, but you can always tell that a prey character will always feel kind of afraid in the presence of a predator character. It's sort of the unwritten rule in this society. And let me see. So I would say BEASTARS sort of, it talks a lot about society, talks a lot about like how it affects people and stuff like that. And that's what I'm sort of interested in. I think that's pretty cool. What else? The animation. Let's talk about the animation. Now, if you started to watch the animation, the opening animation starts off with what's the word? Puppetry? No, not puppetry. I forget the word. Stop motion. The anime starts off with stop motion animation featuring Legoshi and Haru in a very cute and sort of horror inspired segment. And I gotta admit that looks like the charm just from the opening alone had me hooked. When Netflix had that little button on the bottom that says, do you want to skip opening, I never did, because the opening was such a bop. Not only were the visuals amazing in the opening with the stop motion, but also the song was amazing. The song had like this jazzy sort of 1920s vibe, and I'm all about that jazz vibe. I love that sort of jazz sort of era vibe. So I was all about that opening. Still have that opening, and I still listen to it all the time. Now, the actual animation for the actual like story, like after the opening and everything, is basically 3D. And anime and 3D sort of has its moments of contention. Usually 3D is very experimental in the anime world as of now. There are a couple examples of it working very well and a couple examples of it not working so well. I would say that Netflix or the anime companies that worked on this, I think the Japanese company that specifically worked on BEASTARS is called Orange, and they do a phenomenal job animating the 3D models here. It looks just as good as hand-drawn animation. I would say that I'm always a hand-drawn animation guy, but the 3D models here just flowed so well. You can tell that they like almost copy-pasted like some of the pictures from the comic. Granted, I haven't seen the comic, but you can just tell like they paid really close attention to the source material here. But I would say the 3D modeling can be a bit jarring for some people. So again, if that's not really your thing, like that's okay. I've seen worse modeling, and I actually think the modeling was pretty good. The action flows really well, and really the plot and sort of the melodrama is really what's interesting about it. Sort of this will they, won't they between Legoshi and Haru, sort of the circumstances that the creatures in this world fall into. And you really feel bad for everyone. Nobody really nobody really kind of gets a say in this world. Everybody's sort of victimized. The predators are victimized because they don't get to be who they want to be. The prey are victimized because they constantly in this state of fear, and they're constantly being belittled by predators too. Predators, of course, can flaunt their strength, while prey oftentimes feel weak. And yeah, you can put on the niceties and say everybody's equal in this world, but it's still sort of this large pill to swallow in regards to whether or not everybody actually is equal in this world. Which sort of mentions the topic of the title of the show, which is called BEASTARS. And BEASTARS are sort of representative of a creature that represents what this society is striving for, which is a society that is equal and a society that proves that anyone can be everything. So again, a lot of Zootopia vibes you're going to notice. I wonder if there's something about anthropomorphic animals that just sort of lends itself to talking about society and these deeper ideas. I don't know. Maybe it's just easier for people to talk about these sort of things when it's not about human beings and it's about animals. Just food for thought. But yeah, I would recommend giving BEASTARS a watch. It's a pretty thoughtful series, but I would say more of its charm comes from our dopey, lovable protagonist and sort of his escapades. There can be some slightly grim moments, slightly dark moments. I don't think it's too bad though. Mainly possibly some suggestive stuff. So if you're a really young kid, of course don't watch it. I mean, you can't. Yeah, I wouldn't watch it. I would say it's for mainly I would say it's mainly for adults, teenagers. And I would give it a watch, guys. So yeah, I hope you guys have a good day, night, whenever you're watching this. And I'll see you later, Crazy Crew. Peace.